Okay, have you heard about this?
Heard about what?
This proposal in Nepal. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's called a bold vision for Nepal.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It is, right.
Free everything.
Yeah, free healthcare,
Education
services.
for everyone.
It sounds
It's like utopian,
yeah,
right?
no, totally.
No.
But here's the thing.
The how they want to do it.
The how, yeah, 100% cashless society.
No more cash.
Like none.
It's a complete.
Like how would that even work?
I know.
We're going to dive into this today.
We are. We're going to look at the benefits, the potential problems, and
Yeah, could this be
could this be a model?
a model for other countries? Could this happen in other places?
Yeah, it's a fascinating idea.
So how would this even work? I mean, like cashless in practice?
Well, the core of it is the banks.
Yeah.
They would be nationalized, all of them.
Wait, so like the government would,
Owned and operated by a government.
but all the profits would go.
The government, yeah. Not to private shareholders,
Yeah.
but right back into the government's pockets. That's how they'd fund all those
I can't, but what about
those free services.
interest rates?
Oh, yeah.
That's like the backbone of
Right.
banking, isn't it?
Well, that's where it gets even more interesting. They're proposing 0 interest rates.
Wait, zero.
0. They think it'll encourage people to invest their money, in businesses and stuff that actually helps the economy grow, not just stick it in a savings account or, do risky things that don't really benefit anyone.
I mean, that's really.
It's a big change.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine what the impact would be. I mean, like for people, but also for the whole economy.
For sure, there are definitely 2 sides to that coin. On one hand, it could make borrowing money much easier, right? For starting businesses, for buying houses. It could really boost things.
But on the other hand,
But yeah, on the other hand, why would you save your money if it's not growing? Could lead to less money for lending and maybe even inflation. Too much money chasing too few goods.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about corruption.
Right.
It's a big problem in Nepal.
Huge problem.
They say going cashless could really help with that.
It's one of the strongest arguments for this, actually. Imagine this. Every single transaction, it leaves a digital trail, a permanent record.
So like,
You can't hide anything.
no more slipping someone a 20 like under the table.
Exactly. Bribes, shady deals, it all becomes so much harder.
So it's like,
Transparency, built right in.
wow. Okay, that's
And they've estimated, billions of rupees are lost to corruption every year. Imagine if all that money went to healthcare and education.
I know.
They could really change things.
Yeah. So let's talk about the free stuff, the education, healthcare, legal services. Like that's what everyone's talking about. But how could they possibly pay for all that?
Yeah. Well, that's where this cashless system and the nationalized banks come in. They think that, by eliminating corruption, making things more efficient, taking the profits from the banks,
They would have enough.
they'd have the money.
Yeah.
They could actually afford to make these services free.
It's a pretty big claim. I'm sure some people are
Oh, yeah.
skeptical.
Lots of skeptics.
Eh.
And the report doesn't, fully explain all the impacts.
Right, like on businesses.
Yeah, what happens to private businesses? What about people's savings?
Yes.
If you're not earning interest,
Right.
there's a lot more to unpack there.
Definitely. Oh, I wanted to ask about the dowry system.
Oh, yeah.
The report mentioned that going cashless could, like, get rid of that.
Yeah. It's an interesting side effect. The dowry system, it often involves these, large cash transactions under the table.
Right.
But if everything's digital, you can't do that anymore.
So,
Accidentally, they've created this safeguard against.
Well,
Yeah, it's a cool example of how changing the financial system could actually change social norms. Makes you wonder if this could work for other problems, too, in other parts of the world, right?
yeah, it does. But, I mean, let's be real. There have to be some big challenges to making this happen. Like, this is a huge change for a whole country.
Oh, for sure. The report talks about them, too. They need a really strong digital infrastructure.
Right. Nepal needs to
Yeah.
invest in
And they need to make sure everyone can use it,
the digital literacy.
Right. Not everyone has access to computers or knows how to use digital money.
Yeah.
And then, how do you actually transition the whole country?
Yeah, how do you even start?
I know. It's a huge.
Security. Like, if everything's digital,
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
isn't it more vulnerable to hacking?
Absolutely. If everything's digital, it all relies on this one system. And if someone hacks into that system, the whole thing could collapse.
So they need some
They need some serious.
serious cybersecurity.
Yeah, backups, decentralized technology, the whole works. It's complicated.
It sounds like there are so many things that could go wrong, but if they pull it off,
I know.
the benefits could be amazing.
It could be huge. Nepal could show the world how a cashless economy can actually help people.
It's really a bold vision. But, the report focuses a lot on the positive side.
Yeah.
What about the downsides? Like, what if the government,
Oh, right.
what if, like, having so much financial power
Yeah, that's a great point.
leads to problems?
Even with good intentions,
Yeah.
giving the government control over all the money, it does raise some red flags, especially in a cashless society. The government would know about every single, every transaction. It's like Big Brother, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. It makes you think about privacy and data security and like, could they abuse this power?
Yeah. It's a scary thought.
It is. And it's something they'd have to address really carefully.
Yeah. It's like you need the benefits of being cashless, but you also need to make sure people's freedoms are protected.
Exactly. It's a tough balance to strike.
Okay, let's talk about something a little more positive.
Okay.
This idea of free everything, free education, health care, legal services, like that's amazing. What do you think is driving that part of the proposal?
I think it's a desire for fairness, a belief that everyone deserves those things, no matter who they are or how much money they have. It's a bold statement, and it makes you question, like, what should a society provide for its people?
Yeah, what if this isn't just a dream? What if Nepal actually makes this work? What if they really do put people first?
It's a pretty incredible thought.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what if this happened in our country?
I know. Would we support it? Would we be afraid?
It depends on what we value, right?
Totally. And that's a question we should all think about.
For sure. It's a big one. It really makes you think about, like, what could be possible?
Right, if we kind of rethink things.
Rethink the whole system. Yeah.
Yeah, and so one of the biggest questions I have is, like, is this even achievable? We've talked about some of the, like, practical hurdles, but...
Yeah, but the cultural shift
Yeah.
that would be needed is huge.
Right, getting a whole country to stop using cash.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Think about how long we've been using cash. Like, forever.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
It's comfortable, it's familiar,
Yeah.
and it's, like, anonymous.
It is.
Right. You don't have to, like, explain where every dollar's going.
Oh, yeah. And even in places where digital payments are really common, like...
People still use cash.
People still use cash.
All the time.
Yeah, either because they want that privacy or just, like...
Or habit.
Habit, yeah.
It's just what they're used to.
So how do you convince a whole country, especially somewhere like Nepal,
Yeah.
where not everyone is, like, tech savvy to make this switch?
Well, that's why they talk about education.
Yeah.
Like, a big part of this would have to be explaining to people,
Like, why is...
why it's a good idea.
Good.
Not just for them, but for businesses.
Yeah.
For communities, for everyone.
Yeah.
It can't just be like, here's the technology, use it.
Right, it has to be like
It has to be more like a movement, I think.
a movement, yeah.
Yeah, like everyone needs to believe in it.
Okay, so let's say, like, best case scenario.
Right.
Nepal makes this work. Everyone's on board.
Yeah.
The technology is perfect. No corruption.
Okay.
Free everything. Like, what does that look like in the long term?
Well, the economists who wrote the report, they paint this picture of Nepal that's not just like rich, but also really fair,
Okay.
equitable.
Yeah.
Poverty's basically gone, and everyone, no matter who they are or where they come from, has a chance to succeed.
So it's not just about...
It's not just about money, it's about opportunity.
Yes. Yeah.
Creating a system where everyone benefits, not just a few people at the top.
Okay. Yeah. That's, like, really inspiring.
It is, yeah.
But like we've said, things could go
Uh-huh.
wrong. Even if it's all implemented perfectly.
Definitely.
Like, what are some of those things that could go wrong?
That's the big question, and it's one that the report doesn't really answer.
Yeah.
But I think, like, one of the biggest concerns is surveillance.
Right. Like government surveillance.
In a cashless society, the government knows everything you're doing with your money.
Every transaction.
Every purchase, yeah.
So could this turn into, like, a Big Brother situation?
Right. Where the government has way too much control over people's lives.
Yeah.
That's a very real possibility.
And then there's the, like, cybersecurity question. We
Right.
talked about it before, but
But it's a big one.
it is.
If the whole system is digital, it's vulnerable, right? Like
Yeah.
one good hack and the whole thing could go down.
So yeah, they'd need, like...
Top-notch cybersecurity
Yeah.
backups,
Yeah.
maybe even some decentralized technology.
Okay.
It's a tough problem to solve.
It really feels like there's this tension between the good things about being cashless
Right.
and the risks that come with it.
Yeah, the risks are real. And I think in the end, it comes down to trust. Do you trust the government enough to give them this much power?
It's a
That's a hard question.
It is, yeah.
Do you trust that the technology will be secure? And do you trust that, people will actually be able to make this change?
It's
It's a big ask.
it is, yeah.
But there's something about this proposal, even if it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
that's really exciting. Like, just the fact that they're trying this.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is. It's really bold.
It's like they're saying, what if there's a better way? What if we can create a system that's actually fair?
Yeah. Yeah. I like
A system that puts people first.
Okay. So as we're like wrapping up this part of the deep dive, what do you think is the biggest takeaway?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's tough, but I think for me, it's the connections, like how everything's connected.
Yeah.
We talked about the economy, technology, social norms, like even trust and how governments work.
Yeah.
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 And it shows that if you change one thing, like the financial system,
Right.
it can impact everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole society changes.
Yeah. It's like the butterfly effect thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You change one little thing,
Yeah.
and who knows what could happen.
Yeah. And that's what makes this so interesting, but also like
A little scary.
a little scary. Yeah.
Because it shows how complicated change is.
Right. It's not just about like
Yeah.
one simple solution.
There's no easy answer.
No.
It takes planning
Yeah.
and being flexible and being okay with not knowing what's going to happen.
Right. And even then, it might not work.
Exactly.
Right.
But even if it doesn't,
Like,
this proposal makes us ask some really important questions.
yeah. Yeah. Like, how do we make sure everyone has access to healthcare,
Yeah.
education,
How do we get rid of corruption? How do we make governments more transparent?
accountable? Yeah.
And how do we create a financial system that actually benefits everyone,
Right. Not just.
not just the wealthy?
Yeah. Yeah. Those are like
Big questions.
big questions.
And there's no easy answers,
No.
but just thinking about them,
Yeah.
even if it just leads to more questions, that's important.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And it's not about like finding the perfect solution.
Right.
It's about talking about these things,
Yeah.
listening to different points of view.
And being open to.
Yeah. And maybe changing our minds about some things.
Right. Because like.
The future isn't just something that happens.
Yeah.
We make it.
We make it. Yeah.
It's our choices, our actions, how we imagine things.
So to our listeners out there,
Yes.
what do you think?
Yeah. What would you do if this was happening in your country?
Would you be excited?
Would you be scared?
What parts of it would you like?
Yeah. And what wouldn't you like?
Because at the end of the day,
This is about all of us.
it is. It is.
The future depends on us being informed, being involved,
Yeah.
asking these tough questions.
Tough but important.
Exactly.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into a cashless Nepal.
It's been a journey.
It-
A thought-provoking one.
It has. And to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep imagining.
Yeah. Future's out there.
It is.
Yeah.